Praise be to Jesus Christ and Virgin Mary. Is it God, to whom we owe for this world? Is it Jesus Christ, to whom we owe our gratitude for redeeming us at the cross from the sin of Adam and Eve? And is it the same Jesus Christ who, through Valentín Kováč, founded the Society of Friends of the Eucharist?
Jenom jsem se chtěla zeptat, když se vám Pán Ježíš zjevuje.
I would like to ask you, when Lord Jesus appears to you, do you see him as a spiritual being, or some kind of shadow, or as a living man?
Nie, normálne takto.
No, normally. I'll give you an example. When there is the adoration, I see him next to a monstrance. As he is exposed, he is standing there.
A teraz, keď príde ako
And now, when he comes to me, he transfers himself and suddenly he is in front of me.
To je záleží o tom, ale to vidíme takto predu.
This is what I see in front of the tabernacle. He is standing there.
Tak je to. A počujem hlas ako živého človeka. Teda ako keby...
I hear the voice as a living man speaking.
Tak ja mu dávam otázky tiež ako myslí, ako nenahlas, ako nepýtam sa nahlas, lebo keby som...
I'm asking him questions in my mind, not out loud. I don't ask out loud, because if I were talking loudly in church, you can't do that. So I ask him questions and he answers me. I ask questions in my mind and I hear the voice answering me.
Tak asi, no.
I'll give you an example.
Moja manželka, keď budete čítať ako v tom druhej knihe, ona má také zjavenie, že...
My wife, you will read it in the second book, she has these revelations that the eye of God comes to her, it appears, and in the eye of God there are scenes, like on TV, for example, scenes of the heavenly countries, as it looks like there. But she was also shown one thing.
No, ale bolo jej ukázaná jedna vec, teda bolo jej ukázané taký záber, jak sa podáva...
She was shown how the Eucharist is being served, that there was a priest, and actually instead of a priest, there was Lord Jesus. This means that as the priest is giving the Eucharist, Lord Jesus himself is giving the Eucharist through his hands.
Toto povedal, hej.
And this is what Lord Jesus said. I give it to you. I give it and myself to you through the anointed hands of the priest, and therefore approach it as you see that I am there, that I myself am giving myself to you.
Preto je to také dôležité, aby sme...
That is why it is so important to have reverence and awe of God when we receive Him, for it is God Himself. And God Himself gives Himself to us, not that we take it and go.
Preto není to dobré, akože...
That is why it is not good to receive in the hand, even though it is approved. It is so.
Že človek by si mal nad tým zamyslieť, hej, Pán Ježiš povedal, zamyslite sa nad tým, hej, že vlastne ja sa vám podávam, ako hej, preto je teda ten prejav úcty, ako je na mieste tam, hej, akože, že by sa malo prijímať.
One should think about it, that Lord Jesus is given to us. That is why the expression of respect is proper, that it should be received kneeling in the mouth. In this way we show reverence to God, that it is not just something humanly common as a thing we receive, but it is God Himself.
Já bych se vrátila k té úctě k Eucharistii. Já jako pořád moc nerozumím tomu rozdílu přijímání do úst a přijímání na ruku. Mně to přijde vlastně jako, že ten vnitřní postoj může být úplně stejný.
I would like to go back to the reverence for the Eucharist. I still don't really understand the difference receiving it in the mouth and in the hand. It seems to me that the inward attitude can be exactly the same, and it's about the interpretation of the gesture as I receive it. All the arguments that have been made here are not the reason for me not to receive in the hand. So I feel it's okay. I would like to understand this.
Dobre. Prečo je to také, hej? Pretože, ja hovorím, tá prax, keď sa zaviedla, ono malo to devastačné účinky, hej, v cirkvi, lebo sa strácala úcta k Eucharistii tým, že vlastne vy si poviete, ja ju tú úctu mám, hej, ja vám verím, verím, že tam, ale pri tomto podávaní na ruku, hej, vlastne dochádza aj k veľkému zneužívaniu aj s týmto, jak sa povie, keď si zoberieme Eucharistia ako taká, keď to podáva na ruku, hej.
Good. So why is that? The practice, when it was introduced, had devastating effects in the church because reverence for the Eucharist was being lost. You say, I have that reverence. I believe you. But in the receiving in the hand, there is also great dishonor and abuse. When the Eucharist is given in the hand, it can happen that little pieces of it break off and fall on the ground. A person shakes his hands or something like that, and yet in each of these little pieces is Lord Jesus. Even though we may not admit it, but it is how dishonor happens. It is like this. And now some old people can't hit their mouth or something. There have been cases like that. We have seen it in the church. Our granddaughter saw big pieces of the Eucharist on the ground. Secondly, it is a great opportunity for those who want to abuse it. Someone like that may easily come. Some people were bragging about having the Eucharist at home. They stand aside, formally puts it in the mouth, as it were, but they doesn't. They had it in their hand and takes it home.
Formálne do úst, ale nedá to do úst, má to v ruke a doniesie si to domov a tak ďalej. A vlastne takýmto dochádza k vážnym zneužívaním týchto, hej, takýchto vecí a vlastne teda zneúcťovaním, hej, to je jedna vec. A druhá vec je, hovorím, tá úcta pred Bohom, hej, je to Boh.
And there is a serious dishonor and abuse of the Eucharist. It is God. We should show him respect. Exactly what he said, Lord Jesus gives himself, but we take him as our own. No, Lord Jesus, we don't want it from you, but I will take it myself. Like this. What was the vision that Lord Jesus is there instead of the priest? Imagine, Lord Jesus is giving himself. Yes, it is so. He is giving himself through anointed hands. And now, Lord Jesus, I don't want to receive it from you, but give it here, I'll take it myself. It is such a humiliation to God.
Pán sa znižuje k nám všelijakým spôsobom, ale je to tak, hej. Ono, je to, ja hovorím, je to všetko také, teda je to povolené a tak ďalej, ale
Lord humbles himself to us in every way, but this is humiliation. It is allowed, but we take it as Lord Jesus told us. Never do it. We are supposed to spread reverence to the Eucharist. When I was talking to the priest, we were in argumentation on this, I told him one thing. Father, do you know what graces Lord Jesus has given us? That we are here to spread reverence to the Eucharist. And now you want us to tell our members that they should take it in hand?
To je ako keby som teraz povedal Pánu Ježišovi a
It is as if I had spit in the eyes of Lord Jesus. I see it like this. I am to give reverence to the Eucharist and now I should disparage it? Perhaps I have not satisfied you with this. It is a matter for each one how he or she approaches it. What is your problem with taking it into the mouth? I don't see a problem, because it is not a problem to take it in the mouth. At least for us in our country, it's no problem. Apparently, it is not a problem with you either. We have been to church here and nobody had a problem with it. The priests don't discourage it, not like they used to.
No, ja by som ešte k tomu povedal jednu vec, čo som, tiež to bolo také, že to tiež je tej druhej knihe, to sa tam dočítate, že tiež jedna teda sa rozčulovala jedna pani na to, že nemôže sa na to pozerať, keď to vidí, že ako prijíma do úst, že nepočúva, aké sú neposlušné a tak ďalej, vykrikovala na tú našu pani, ako, hej, že toto, že čo sa dopúšťa. A vtedy pán Ježiš teda povedal taký, by som povedal také podobenstvo, také dosť drsné podobenstvo. Teraz povedal takto, odkázal tej pani, hej, teda ako to znova sa vraciam k tej podávaniu Eucharistie. Povedal jedno, príde kňaz, teda ako Žide podávať Eucharistiu a naraz sa potkne a
I would say one more thing about that. It is also in the second book. One lady was getting upset that she couldn't stand to see how disobedient one member of the society was that she was receiving in her mouth. Then Lord Jesus told a parable. I would say a pretty harsh parable. He said this, referring to this lady. A priest goes to serve the Eucharist and suddenly stumbles and scatters the Eucharist on the ground. And he says to you, "Now come here and step on it. Will you do it?" She said, "Well, no, I won't do it." And now you do. It is exactly about that. I hope you got that. If even a little part of it falls, people are stepping on it, stepping on Lord Jesus. Whether it is a little piece or a whole host, it's basically the same thing. The usual normal way was that people kneel nicely, there is a paten, it is nicely served. When the particles fall on the paten, it is purified, it's pure, there is no problem, there is no dishonor. But with this practice now, it is a problem. And let's say yes or no. Yes, it is.
Já bych se chtěla zeptat, jestli kněz není ochoten.
I would like to ask if a priest is not willing to give communion in the mouth. What is right? To receive in the hand when he asks for it, or not to receive at all?
No, áno, my sme sa s tým stretli v čase tej pandémie, že bolo také, že nám odmietli dať tak my sme teda ako s pokorou odišli bez toho a pán tedy povedal jednu vec.
Yes, we encountered this during the pandemic, that they refused to give it to us. We humbly went without it. Lord said one thing at the time. If out of respect for me you do this, accept it spiritually, and it will be as if you accepted it physically. I will do it that way, because it is a sign of reverence to God. It's up to the priest if he did that and refused to give it to you. It's his matter, he will account for it. You wanted to show reverence to God and receive respectfully. In such case, it's better to leave and receive spiritually. We have done it that way, and it has happened to us several times. I would like to ask about the position, the difference between kneeling and standing. If a person has a problem with standing up, he receives standing up.
No, áno, rozumiem, čo chcete povedať. Je to presne tak, že teda tie klakatka, keď sa nedávajú, majú určití starší ľudia problémy, hej, napríklad aj takí, čo majú problémy s klbami a tak ďalej. Moja manželka má také tiež problémy a ona keby si kľakla, tak už tam nestane. Tam teda ako musíme, teda bez pomoci si nevie postaviť, ako hej. Takže ono v takýchto prípadoch to pán zohľadňuje, akože áno, tak je teda nemôžeš, nedá sa.
Yes, I know what you mean. When there are no kneelers, older people have problems, as well those who have problems with their knuckles. My wife also has such problems, and she wouldn't get up if she knelt. I mean, she can't stand up without help. In such cases, lords take it into account. You can't, so you receive standing.
Ak máte takýto
If you have to overthrow the
kľudne
priest
môžete postojačky prijímať.
or overturn his
Nemáte
cup
tam
or
to
something
právo,
like that, you would better
je to
not.
v poriadku.
If you have such a problem, you can
Pán
accept
povedal,
while
že je to v
standing.
poriadku.
Já bych se chtěl ještě zeptat na jednu věc. To se týká, když svaté přijímání, když vlastně podávají akolité.
I would like to ask one more thing. When Holy Communion is administered by acolytes, is it okay or what is better, receiving in hand or from the acolyte?
No, je to také dosť, teda my osobne, aj takto pán povedal, pokiaľ je to, netreba to nejako veľmi podporovať, pretože vlastne aj keď akolíti
It is
sú
such
ako
that it should
teda
not be
biskupom
encouraged.
alebo,
Although acolytes are
majú
appointed
svoje
by
tieto
the
veci,
bishop,
ale
they are
boli
appointed as
vlastne
extraordinary
to
celebrants
mimoriadne
in cases
hej, ako
where the
malo by
priest
sa
would not
podávať ako tých
be able to
mimoriadnych
handle it.
milostiach, keď je veľa
But if
ľudí,
there are
potom
few
asi to
people
vypadá
there,
ako, že
there is no
to
reason
vypadá,
for it.
ale pokiaľ je tam zo pár ľudí,
Personally, we always go to the priest
tak to
anyway.
a my osobne aj takto vždycky chodíme za kňazom, ku kňazovi, ako hej, ako kvôli tomu, lebo mali sme taký, teda bolo to ukázané to tiež tam na jednom našom členovi, ktorý teda bol ako ten akolita a teraz jeho manželke
Because we have had following experience. One of our members was an acolyte and his wife had a dream at night. She saw his hand all black. She got scared and told him about it.
Aj mu to povedala, on hneď ako sa zľakol a už odtedy ako prestal.
He as well got scared and since then he stopped with this, refused it and said, I won't do it. As Lord said, clean doesn't belong in unclean hands.
Je to tak predsa cez ruky, požehnané ruky kňaza.
Through the blessed, anointed hands of the priest, the Eucharist is given by Lord Jesus himself.
No a zase ten akolita nemá.
The acolyte doesn't have these anointed hands. He is not a priest. If you want to receive directly from Lord Jesus, it is good. It is better to receive from the priest. It is so.
Ako je to tak asi, no.